it goes back to what you said before about like seeing being believing. I think when people actually see in reality, like for instance, I used to work at a gay bar in New York City in Chelsea, and I used to run beer pong tournaments. And one day I was playing in beer pong, and I was playing against a guy I had played against many times, and then another guy, his partner, who I'd never seen before, racialized white guy, and the guy I knew, he was biracial, Korean, and white. And then the guy I was playing with, we were both racialized black men. And we're playing, and the game is going, and then suddenly the biracial guy just walks away from the table, doesn't say anything, just leaves and walks away. And I'm like, what the heck? What's going on? And the game was just over, you know? And honestly, nothing like that had ever happened before. I played dozens of games there, and nobody had ever just like walked away without saying anything. So I went over there because I knew him. I had had many a conversation with him, and I was like, hey, like, what's going on there? And he was like, listen, I just couldn't do that anymore. He's like, that guy just kept calling you the N word over and over and over and over and over.
Uh,
And he was like, I just like couldn't handle it. And so he just walked away. Didn't come to me, which I thought was interesting. Didn't say anything. I had to come to him and like find out what happened and like kind of investigate and reel out the information. So I went to the manager of the establishment, who obviously I worked there, so we knew who I was, and I told him what happened. I was like, listen, I mean, you could deal with this or I'll deal with it. I was like, one of the two is going to happen. So, and you could see him kind of like doing the calculations in his mind,
mhm.
like, like, do I really need to deal with this? It seems like I do. It looks like he's going to force me, like he probably would have just let that rock, like in his world. But, I was pressing the issue. So I decide to separate myself from this guy. I go outside. There's a back patio, smoking area, chilling area. So I just go out there. I'm talking to my friends and whatnot. I go outside to the back patio. The bar owner is going to talk to this guy. I don't even look because, like, literally, I was perfectly fine. Of course, I don't want to be called the N word, but whatever. Like, I didn't get hurt, right? Like, and this guy was obviously a loser, so I wasn't feeling some kind of way. And I think that that's the mindset a lot of racialized white people have when they hear stories from black people about racism. They're like, oh, yeah, he really hurt you by saying that word. Oh, my gosh, right? Like, that's their mindset. Well, that was my mindset in that moment. And I just kind of like let it go. I wasn't even looking at the outcome. Suddenly, this guy bursts through into the back patio, and he calls me a coward, calls me the N word again, so tries to fight me, tries to swing at me, and they're literally dragging this guy back. And at that point, so for me, like, the whole point is he pursued me, right? Like, I was done with this person, you know, but he pursued me. That's how racism operates. That's how racism acts. Racism comes and finds you. I think a lot of people don't get that. It is an
Mhm.
active force that will come and find you. And so that's why you can't just sit back and be like, oh, like, I'll just ignore whatever happens. You can't. It's a
Mhm.
dangerous environment out there. It's a toxic environment out there, especially if you're at the bottom of the racial hierarchy. And that's just the reality of the situation. Despite the fact that there are extreme powers in media, in the billionaire class, in the millionaire class, people promoting the idea that that's not our existence. We're the ones who know our existence. We're the ones who live our existence. So we know what it is, and it is what I've described to you. Um, so yeah, any reflections on that?
That's just incredible. I just want to know is did the manager kick him out?
At that point, he was literally getting violent with me. So yeah, like they dragged him out. He had to
Still didn't
be,
answer my question. So
yeah, yeah. He had to be dragged out. He wanted to fight me so badly. And I was never aggressive to this person whatsoever. I literally never even said a single word to him except for to invite him to the table in the game. I was the one who invited him to the game, ironically. Um,
uh-huh.
but when I reflect on what happened, he was looking at me like I was a target. You
Mm-hmm.
know, he clearly was targeting me. He, you know, he chose me to antagonize based on my race.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I just tell that so people understand that you can't just like sit back, and you're not safe even if you're if even if you know aren't one of these classes that are considered lower on the human totem pole or whatever. You know, like for instance, I read a story once where a straight man was in a friendship with a gay man and he gave his friend a hug goodbye at the bar, and then they left and went their separate ways, and he was followed by someone who saw them hug each other, and he was beaten up and lost sight in one of his eyes. He
Oh
got
my
beaten up
God.
so badly. But he's 100% heterosexual. He just was in proximity, and someone made an assumption, and that aspersion was cast onto him, and it resulted in serious physical injury to him. So it doesn't even have to. It doesn't even have to be. You don't even have to be part of the group. You know, it creates an environment where these kind of nonsensical, irrational attacks can occur. So just want to put that
But
out there.
it's the same idea with the political climate, um, with what you were just saying, and of course, right now, what's going on with trans people, the far right, and their agendas with ostracizing them. You know, there are cisgender women that are being bullied, cisgender children that have been bullied, and it's been in the news. We're like, that's a trans girl, he's a boy, blah blah blah. And no, it's a cisgender woman, and they're being affected by these beliefs, you know, so you can't escape it. You know, this hatred, it's crazy. It's insane.
We have to stop pretending like it can be escaped and start acting like it needs to be dealt with. Because
Absolutely.
yeah, and that's what I'm trying to get people to do. I'm trying to put people to a choice. You know, obviously you've already made your choice. You are fighting the battles in your life every day. You're kind of at the next level from the fight for survival, um, and you're now kind of having these conversations in your everyday life. Of course, you're still protecting yourself, but you've made a clear choice to get people to critically engage on these issues. You'll tell people if they need to be told. You'll protect yourself if you need to protect yourself. So I applaud you for making that choice and encouraging other people to do the same.
Thank you.
Yeah.